still using it and so on. So his reply was, I understand the concern with sending the unit in for further inspection may be difficult during spraying due to the age of the unit and it being used to spray chemicals, although I don't understand what he would think it would be used to spray for, that it would be better to have the technician put eyes on the unit. This way we can properly estimate labor times as well as identify certain parts on your spray unit that may be specific to your unit or may have also multiple choices of items to see, to choose from. So basically I responded back to him and said, listen, I said, the machine's not going to make it up there till the January because obviously you're not going to be coming down here the week of Christmas to pick it up. So what I requested from them, and I'm still waiting for a response, is, well, if you need to have a technician look at it, why don't you send the technician down here?
That would make sense.
We have an equipment lift, we have everything you need, we have the mechanic who serviced the machine, we have all the service records and so forth, so I'm waiting for their response. But I don't have a quote from them. I'm going to estimate, given the items that we have on that quote, that you're probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000, between 26 and 30, 25 and 30. That's just my general estimate. The items that we're looking to...
Parts and labor?
Excuse me?
Parts and labor?
Yes. You're looking...
That's good. Like
I think we're going to be in that neighborhood. Again, the machines, we received the machine in November 2011. And as he stated, they don't want to make a quote without looking at it because of the age of the machine and so on and so forth. I can understand their concern, but I think, the best bet is to see if they can get someone down here. Because again, having to wait until January, having them then take the machine, I want to know what it's going to cost, or relatively speaking, what it's going to cost now, so we can make a decision, get approval, and move forward. I also indicated to him and said, listen, I said, in order for us to make a decision to do this and go forward, it's going to take about a month, especially with, special town meeting and all that good stuff. So we have to get somebody down here to look at this thing as soon as we can, so we can get past that month period, so we can have something possibly the second week in November to talk about as far as how much it's going to cost. So I'm waiting to hear back from Josh here. Haven't heard from him today. Checked my emails before I came here. So basically that's where we stand with that. The Toro situation hasn't changed. It's the same as it was reported the last time we met. So.
good. Hope he comes in that area. That sounds good.
All right. That's it for that. Clubhouse architect, 3 candidate recommendations. So, as we discussed last time, we did receive what was either 8 or 9 proposals, and they're all decent firms. I think 3 kind of stood out to me. So, I think I'd kind of I'd like it to be when they come in to do their presentation, if other people, meaning like the selectmen or finance committee, wants to be hearing it live, that it's a convenient schedule with them. So I think I want to make just a few phone calls through Jamie in Town Hall to see what might be good dates or times to ask these people to come back. I don't know if we can knock it out all in one night or not, because it's probably a good 45 minutes per one, right? So then call it an hour. Do we want to spend 3 hours marathon at once or break it up? I'm not quite sure. But, so I think the next step would be, again, the way the process plays out, and I know it's a little cumbersome, but it's just public procurement of a designer is, the next step is you have your finalists based on paper, right, based on their qualifications, how you think that they're going to fit. You let them present to you in person, and then again, if one ranks the highest, then that's when you have the opportunity to, okay, now what's your fee going to be, and you would negotiate with them. And this type of process isn't based on price first, it's based on your qualifications and match for each other first, and then you move on to price with your selected one. And if for some reason you feel that, well, that's not in the ballpark where we want it to be and there's no middle ground, you can always then go to your second ranked person after that. But it's not this is not a price procurement, this is a qualifications-based procurement, so it just takes a little bit longer to work through the process. You want to make sure that you're soliciting, the final proposal from who you ideally want, based on, again, their written proposal within their verbal proposal once they come in.
So the way I understand it, we're gonna have three to talk about,
Yes,
and they're gonna present the whole three of them,
yes.
a report to us.
Yep.
And then we have to analyze that and then make a decision.
Right, it's akin to like a job interview in a way. Like they'll come in and they'll just give a quick presentation of their overview, how they would perceive themselves working for us and what they could bring to us for our needs. And then, we kind of rate them and see how, again, almost like a job interview, and say, this is the architect we feel meets their history, their past projects, meets what we're looking for here, right? It's nothing too grandiose, but it's not just a shed in the backyard either, right? So, I need someone whose thoughts and practice meets what we're looking for, and then you negotiate the price afterwards.
So you have identified 3 potential candidates.
Yes, I have.
And you need to review with Jamie how best to go about it.
Right, like potential times to ask them to come in if the selectmen would prefer certain times or days of the week, only with town meeting, coming up shortly next week. But and just typical weeks and times, are there better days of time that's better for them? Because I would like them to be part of this if they so want to be.
The board of Selectmen.
Yes. So at least hear them out, because they ultimately, like with any other contract, are going to be the final awarding authority to the contract. So I don't want to just have them come in at the end. I want them, if they want to be,
Right.
there when the people are here live and ask their questions. So
Right.
I'll work with Jamie on selecting a couple of dates and times for that, and then reach out to these firms. And one of them already gave me well in advance of like a week to 10-day time period that the firm would not be available.
Okay.
That's a couple weeks out from now, so it's also going to be matching up with that as well. So that'll be taking place, and I'm just going to skip to E in a second. I'm going to skip over D and go to E for 1 second, our final NGF report. As you may or may not know, Richard Singer's coming up on October 8th, 4:30, going to be with the selectmen. Correct, Ed? Right, that's with the selectmen?
Yes, Selectmen, I'm told, will open the meeting at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we will join them at 4:30
Okay.
and open our meeting.
Okay.
And then the PowerPoint presentation shall be, I guess you'll introduce Mr. Singer.
Yeah.
And he will present his executive summary.
Yep, okay. Yeah, when I talked to Richard, that's exactly, he didn't give him the specific times, but that's exactly the way we framed it, is that he's going to have a presentation of exactly the executive summary of what he sees as any, positive, negatives, pitfalls, what they've seen in their, unbiased analysis of this report that they did for us.
Well, and the question would been asked to me, will it be copies of the PowerPoint presentation to put in the Board of Selectmen's?
Agenda.
Yes, I can.
Packets.
Yeah, I can make sure. Richard actually just yesterday sent me a very rough draft of what he was thinking, just to make sure
Okay.
what he's thinking of doing is what we were expecting. It's very rough draft now, but he'll have it done by next week. So as soon as I get it, I'll email it into them, so Jamie, so he can have it for the selectmen.
Right, good.
To you guys as well, so so we'll all see it ahead of
No,
time.
that's
Then, I think we'll just, he's not bringing his computer, but I can always just bring mine and we can just plug it into that monitor there.
Yeah, we just be able to hook it up.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well, I was
who.
gonna say, hopefully somebody in town
Flips.
hall knows how to. I know we just use the HDMI cord there, but whether to get it off that screen and.
Sydney knows how to set that up. And
Sydney.
if you know in advance when you're going to do it, for instance, Nick will be here tomorrow in the afternoon, I believe. He's the one who, got that up there and showed them how to install it. So if you want to, if you want to contact him, I don't know where he will be in the building, but he will be here somewhere tomorrow afternoon.
And you can put it on, maybe on Sydney's computer.
Well, once you have the digital copy, you can put on anybody's.
Or as a laptop or whatever to plug it in.
I think
Yeah,
they have a town hall laptop that they use sometimes.
Yeah, so either that, and I'll have it, so. one of the two, either their own, I'll email it to them in advance, I'll bring mine anyway, just won't have it. So that'll be on the 8th, which is good, because that kind of all ties into this as well, right? It's one ties into the other, so how we're gonna hopefully move forward for the next 25 years. And then, the other thing on here is the aeration scheduled for October 28th.
Well, we have fairway aeration scheduled solid time on the 28th, and we have greens deep time aeration scheduled. As I had mentioned in the previous meeting, since our aeration date was canceled in August when we had the available labor to do the dry eject, we're not going to be able to do the dry eject this year. And one of the important things to point out, we had established a time frame and a window for aeration with these contractors, and we had that date consistently. Now we've lost that date, and it's become very difficult to get another date surrounding that time. And I think what needs to be done, and aeration practices occur at specific times of year to achieve specific goals. It's not really something that you can, the turf plant doesn't really take into consideration, your full schedule and the fact that you can't do things when they're supposed to be done. So we need to, and I've said this before, we need to sit down and have a coordinated planning effect on how we're going to formulate our operations schedule from both sides of the fence. This month of September was extremely difficult for us to get anything done. From the beginning of September through the 5th of October, we will have had a 1 o'clock shotgun on every Saturday with the exception of one day double tea time starts in the morning. We had an outing every Monday and we had an outing every Thursday. It was either 8:30 or 9 o'clock shotguns. And there's no way for us to get anything else done on those particular days besides general preparation in the morning. So I think we really need to sit down and see how all these particular parts fit together. Our aeration equipment is old. It's basically on its last legs. I brought this up 2 years ago. We considered new aeration equipment at that time. We haven't really had that on the in focus or on our plates, but we're stuck in a spot now where those units are going to need to be replaced. And we've been having some issues with the walking unit, which we've been able to repair, but literally, you look at the size of the equipment. We've got all of our approaches on the one side of the golf course aerated, but it is extremely difficult to complete a proper aeration practice in the midst of play. It is extremely bothersome to people who are trying to play to have to deal with aeration plugs, to have to deal with dust, to have to deal with dragging, to have to deal with blowing. But when you're backed into a corner, that's the only time we have to do it. So we have to do it in the midst of play. We jump out, we do 1 or 2 holes a day, then we have to wait, then we jump out, and the next time do 1 or 2 holes, throws off the entire fertility program schedule, throws off the entire pesticide and fungicide application schedules, simply because, and it wreaks havoc with the equipment, because every other day we have to cut. We can't cut an aerated approach or an aerated fairway with both of our top pieces of equipment, because as soon as you hit a rock or a ding, there goes your cut, there goes your bed knife, there goes your reel. So we use the old machine to cut them, and we're continually bouncing back between the old and the new. So I think if we take the time to sit down and look at how all these things fit together, I'm not so sure I can get, I'm working right now with dates in August, And of course, the first date that I was given back was the date that I was told already that I can't have, because that's when PJ Keating already scheduled again. So, you really have to, take a close look at how you're talking about the future and where you're going in the next 25 years. You have to, if you're going to figure out where you're going to get in 25 years, you have to have significantly more organization and direction in your schedule. And you have to give time for certain things to get done. And yes, it's a terrible thing to have to do maintenance on the golf course, but maintenance on the golf course is the only thing that produces the property that get people to come to you, that allow you to make money and allow you to do other things. And yes, it's a problem to be in the way, but there's only so much that we can get done. It's incredible for me to sit out there. I've sat out there for almost 2 months now with a flashlight on my head, trying to change cups in the middle of the dark. I've had equipment operators who can't see cleanups and who scalp into collars and scalp into the rough because you can't see. I don't care how many lights you have, you can't see the difference between 1/8 of an inch and less than 1/4 of an inch when you're trying to cut a cleanup. I don't know, John, I mean, you've run, how many times are you out there with a headlight on your head cutting?
The last month.
Yeah, well, the time changes, so you have to recognize that the time
Well,
changes and you have to adapt for that.
We had tournaments out there, so.
Yeah, but,
You have to cut it.
yeah, I understand that, but
Morning.
the point that people are missing is that not only do you have issues with turf, and this comes back to aeration as well, you have issues with the safety of the people who are out there operating
You're
equipment.
right.
And
You
to
are right.
continually, yes, once or twice a month, yeah, no problem, we can adjust that, we can
Yeah.
put different people on machines and so on. But continually to have people out there in the dark, trying to operate, trying to get things done, push to be fast, push to get out of the way, it's not safe for them, and it's not safe for the equipment that's operated. I mean, I've done it, I've slid right off the back of the third green and down the hill. I've slid a triplex off the back of the 18th tee into the woods, because you're trying to rush and you're trying to hurry, and it's pitch black. So, as far as the aeration goes, I don't know if I'll be able to get them back in the schedule that we need to get them in, because as soon as you give up your spot, it's gone, because it's offered to somebody else. So, I'm working with the fairways and the greens deep tine. I don't know when, I haven't heard back from the folks who do the dry jet, to see what times or dates he may have available in August. The only other thing I could do is try to do it, don't really want to do it earlier in August. It's just a question of having the labor to get that done.
So how do we get, say we do it in September, how do we get the labor to support the dry jet application?
Well, we don't physically have the labor ourselves, because the labor that we have available goes back to school, isn't
Right,
there?
I
So
understand.
the only other way you could do it, the one option we tried in the past, which was somewhat successful, is we coordinated with the sheriff's department, and we had a couple inmates on the work program here. But the problem with that is that you can only have so many, and they all have to stay with the same guard. You can't separate them where the guard can't see them. So that might be one machine that you have supported.
But we can't hire temporary help.
The only other way in the past, I tried Labor Ready. First year I tried Labor Ready, it worked out okay. The 2 years after that, I think, I don't know if Labor Ready's gotten any better, but I think they did more sitting around than they did actual carrying buckets of sand and feeding the machine.
Right. That's right, and like, they pay those guys like $6 and they charge you 26
Yeah,
bucks.
they charge you more. But so in that case, we can look to different dates. You don't have to do a dry jet, but I can't get out there on a top dresser. By the time I get out there to top dress and to try to get out there and drag, I'm sitting there dragging greens in play.
But I would think we would prefer getting dry jet in the fall.
Yeah, like I said, we just don't have, after the younger kids go back to school, We don't have the physical labor to carry, what amounts to, 35-pound buckets of sand, one in each hand, to fill a machine for 6 or 7 hours at a time. We don't have it.
In September.
I mean, in September, prior to the kids going back to school, we would have it. And I'm trying to work with them to see if he's got any other dates, but like I said, I'm even looking, okay, skip Mondays, try Tuesdays, or whatever other days that we can get in there, but it's, I haven't gotten any open dates back from these guys yet.
I had a couple of those September Mondays jumped to the weekends because they didn't like the Monday thing, so if September works, check back with me and I'll tell you what I got open for September, but we can look at all.
Well, in order for me to have any conversation with these people at all, I need to know what the schedule looks like now, for next year.
And well, I don't have a problem. If you guys want to close, pick the date. I told Steve, pick the date, the same date, next 5 years. I have no problem. I'll block it off on the schedule. We won't book outings, and that's easy. But when he's trying to work with his vendor, and I got guys coming in, you've seen September, every time we have an outing, like today, they're booking for next year. So it's a moving target. So while he's waiting for confirmation from his vendors, my customers they're booking, taking those dates. So the longer it takes with the communication with his vendors, the less days that are available next year.
But Steve should be able to see September's outing schedule.
Yes. Yeah.
That should be available to Steve.
Sure. I'm not hiding anything.
Well, we have to say-
You're welcome to come through the shop and have this discussion at any point. And as I said, Steve, let's set the date and then
The
pick it.
the dates for aeration have been traditionally the same dates, especially
It
for
was
green.
September 18th and 19th. You went off that schedule.
I went off September 18th and 19th, specifically when we did dry jack, because we didn't have labor.
Right?
And that
So
is
that's
the
been
only
shifted.
time. And really, again, I'm not gonna belabor the point. I'm gonna say it one more time, and you folks can figure out the way you wanna do it. But are you going to be an outing golf club? Are you going to be a golf club that services the clientele that you service on a daily basis? There's nothing wrong with 3 or 4 or 5 outings, but when you plan, I don't have it here in front of me, I got it on my computer. Look at the schedule for September and look at the schedule for June. John Abbray, you want to play golf at Acushnet River Valley at 1 o'clock in September? Forget it. You couldn't play on any Saturday at 1 o'clock in September. You can't play next Saturday because you got you got Oktoberfest on the 5th of October.
Even all the private clubs are doing outings, because it's one way to get.
Of course they're doing outings, but look at your schedule and look at the outing opportunity times, and don't put, you got them back to back to back to back to back. September's supposed to be, I'm just telling you how it is.
Well,
I'm not here to argue you, I'm just pointing it out.
The private clubs are going out there because they didn't do that before. But now it's a good business for them, and they're grabbing it.
Some of them are doing it, not all of them are doing it.
Well,
But again,
the local ones,
when you do that, have you sat down and say, okay, here's a particular day where I do normally have this type of play. I'm going to insert an outing in this particular circumstance. How am I going to which situation gives me the opportunity to make more money?
Well, you gotta make a decision on that, like the club that you're trying, or the thing that you're trying to say is, if the club doesn't make the outings to make the money needed to keep up the operation, it's gonna have to assess the members, and the members got to pay it. So, we have to work together.
Well, that's why I'm saying you need to plan.
Because, we're gonna get the outings and go after the outings, because if not, then we don't make any money.
Yeah, but you need to
We'd
have
like
a
you to have
master
a few
schedule
more
that you can plan off
part-time,
of.
full-time or part-time people that you can get for those days. Trying to get some people that you can operate it. I think it's room now for 2 persons that are, part-time and a full-time to replace, right? You don't have them replaced, right? So you're short.
I have two people who are gonna start next Monday. One's a
Okay,
full-time,
well, that's good.
one's a part-time.
So now, would that give you enough hands?
Well, it gives me one set of younger hands, and it gives me another set of hands that's 3 years younger than I am. Because those are the individuals who are looking for those part-time positions. Alls I'm trying to say is I've got nothing against outings. I used to work at Sterling Farms Golf Course in Stamford, Connecticut, which was the busiest municipal golf course in the state of Connecticut. We did 10 to 15,000 more rounds a year than we do here. I mean, it was a factory. I would be spraying the second green and getting golf balls bouncing off the sprayer. But I'm just saying, you need to have a master schedule that everybody can work off of. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I understand, you have to have a schedule, but you have to have the people to meet that schedule.
Correct.
You know, that's,
And if you know ahead of time what that schedule looks like, then you can shift people around or get extra people.
Oh.
But if you don't know, then you can't get
but
those
now the
resources.
way I understand it, you can't get people anyway. You can't hire, there's no easy to hire somebody part-time or full-time, right?
It's not as it had been in the
If you're
past.
looking for another one or two, do you think are available towards the hiring?
Skilled people, probably not. Unskilled people is possible, but again, like I said, we've got two people, one person who had shown an interest at a time in the beginning of this year where we were basically full, and now, that person came back, and we have that person starting Monday. We've got one other younger person. But, to run three dry jack machines and to get that done, you need 6 people. And you need 6 people who are capable of hoisting 5-gallon buckets of sand, for 5 to 6 hours straight.
I can't argue, I don't know that
That's a
operation, but I think we gotta sit
We have the
down.
people, but I'm not arguing, I don't wanna seem as though I'm arguing about outings. All I'm saying is we need to get a more coordinated schedule so we know what's coming and when.
The only thing I come up in, and I talked and I asked you the question, was because the fact you says either you want to be one or the other. And you want to be one of both. We gotta find a way to work together.
Right. We have many customers, right? We've discussed this before. We're a league golf course, we're a twilight golf course, we're a walk-in play golf course, pass holder, we do outings. I mean, all these are different demographics and customer types. The 6-hole plays that are going on now, I mean, we diversify our product, and that's why we have the round count that we do, is because we hit all of these points. And just to speak to the outing thing, Manny came in, we looked at the calendar, and we tried to do some assistance with this, because the complaint was, last year we had outings were on cut days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we couldn't get anything done. And I showed Manny, we shifted this whole month to Thursdays, so Steve could have Mondays and Fridays. We're trying to accommodate.
We couldn't have
This is
Mondays
very
because-
successful. We have Mondays, Wednesdays and
Yeah.
Fridays, sorry. So the volume is there. People are coming here. We had a group today, a financial group, from north of Boston. They passed all those golf courses and they brought, New York State Life Insurance. They came and had their event at our golf course here today. I mean, they must have drove past at least 40 golf courses to get here, and they wanted to play Acushnet, and they booked for next year.
How many, just out of,
I couldn't even tell you how many outings I have, to be honest with you. All of June, packed.
well, then we just cut
September's
it off.
packed.
Whatever you got, that's the end of it.
And I told Steve, I said, listen, I've turned away.
When one drops out, you don't replace it.
Right, I've turned away at least 12 specifically asking for outings, and then I didn't respond to about another 15 because there's just no spots for them. I mean,
We need to cut it off.
yeah, I've tried.
You need to formulate a schedule and say, okay,
Yes.
Per week,
we're going to have excellent,
2, 3,
So be it, yeah. I'm not pushing, whatever you want to do.
because you can't get on the golf course.
No,
You're right,
I just think that we, that's it. When
And if I have a
Whatever we have right
cancellation,
now
don't even
is
call me
the-
to come back,
is
because
the end
you're
of
not
it.
getting on.
And it's gonna
Don't
be-
take anybody else, leave it where it is. People, outings will drop out. After a while, people get tired of playing in the same way, and they do drop out. There are some that they're monumental. They show up
Yes.
all the time.
Yep.
But there's other ones that only come in because
they'll pop back
some
and
other
forth,
course
correct.
threw them out, and
Yep.
this is where.
That's why you take your perpetuals, the
Right.
ones that have been loyal to you and you loyal to them
In a
for
full-
5, 6, 7,
in a
8
full
years,
field.
and you make sure, yes, in a full field, and you make sure that they get their spot. They get their spot first.
Right.
And then once they get their spot, because I'm not gonna argue with Team Noah's spot.
Yeah.
Team Noah can have their spot whenever they want it, because they come with a full field, they come back every year, and, they're nice people and they have a great cause. So you get those, like the New Bedford firefighters, although we gotta
Well,
tell them
like
to
I
stop.
said, anything under 144, we don't do.
And a few other
Yeah.
things.
Period.
So you get those, your best one, the loyal ones in place, and then you find, okay, well, we can, let's pick it, just off the top of my head, 3 outings a week, okay? Where are we gonna put them? And if somebody says, well, we need to do an 8:30, do we do an 8:30 outing because the outing people request it, or do we an 8:30 outing because we need to get them out of the way for something else? So we have to consider how that timing works. 9 o'clock is a lot easier, even though it's only a half an hour, it is a lot easier than 8:30. And you can see better. And depending on the time of year, you might have to change that a little bit. I mean, it doesn't seem like it now, but within 14 days, you could have frost.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to change,
What, 47 the other night, or 46?
Yeah, so bringing those things together and having that more organized schedule is going to say, oh, well, there's an opening. So somebody tries to get in on our schedule in June now, forget it, because it's full, like Dana said. So, okay, Joe Smith, you want to come, we can't afford you in June because there's no room, but we can put you in July, or we can put you back here in April, May. So if we have that thing sitting there in front of us that we're looking at, then we know where we can plug them in.
There's gotta be some kind of, how many outings we have, so all of us can see, and then go from there. Like I said, anything under 144, if you call them back, you can't have 144, we can't take you. We have people, I wouldn't even say that, it's just, we just can't do it. It's gotta be a full outing or nothing.
Because if it's not, then it takes away from your ability to make additional money. I mean, you have.
What we'll do is, if we have smaller events, we'll book it at 1, clear the space, and then we'll play behind it for the amount of rounds that are missing. I don't ever just kill the sheet for it. I've never ever done kill the sheet for a small event. I've always,
Yeah.
and I always say this to the events, as long as you communicate to me effectively and you let me know the head count, I have to fill the golf course for X amount of people on the day. If you don't allow me that opportunity, obviously you're not coming back, or you can pay the difference. You know what I mean? You just have to speak up.
Or they don't get all 18 holes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They start off as select group of holes, so you can bring people in 15 minutes behind behind them going. So. But, this year, we've done,
A ton.
as far as greens, we've done smaller tine aerations, which are easier for us to clean up, and we've done multiple ones. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing another one this coming Monday, and that has seemed to work. As far as the outside contracting, you're stuck in a particular window, and if you don't keep in that, it's difficult to get back into that window. I'm sure that whatever the folks where you had been working did, he's already scheduled for next year.
Can you schedule them for 3 years out on the same
They
date?
can
Is that-
schedule them for
I can schedule,
10 years out.
yeah,
So if.
as long as you
Orchestrate
commit,
that.
you can do that, you have to commit to the schedule, and you also have to give them a notice
Right.
if you for some
You're not
reason
gonna bring
can't
it
do it
in.
like this past year.
So if,
You gotta have it.
now, I know next year's a challenge, but if you could set up the years
I
after that.
just need to see what's there, because
Well,
you
you're
know,
first, that's what I'm saying. If outside of next year, if you could set the years in advance, grab those dates, we'll put them on the calendar, just like I do with Old Colony and Team Noah, they're locked
And then we'll look at it.
in perpetuity. It just goes on forever, so we'll just make your dates just like those and work around them. I have no problem with that.
So has Steve seen June's schedule?
I don't think he has looked at June's schedule yet.
I've got last year's June schedule. I
Yes,
don't have
so yes, so that pretty much, that almost dictates next year's.
But he should be able to see it.
Yeah, come into the shop and we'll walk through all the questions, because it's just looking at it.
What about
just
taking a
print-
picture of it, send to his
Print it out
computer?
and give it to him.
Yeah,
What I do-
absolutely.
what
That
I
can happen
do-
too.
I need
But
to
what
have
my point is that just looking at it's not the same, because the notes are in the dates. So when he says, all right, you got something on Saturday, I go into that Saturday and go, all right, I got 134 players, they're gonna do a meal ticket, and they wanna go off at 1 o'clock. All my notes are on specific dates, and I can walk through any date that he wants to at any point in time. It's an open book.
Basically, all I need to know on that schedule are the basic things of when it's gonna start, the number of people, and, the starting time, the number of people, and if not all the holes, what holes are gonna be used, and so on. And any particular thing, whether it be a hole, for a putting contest, or, something that we would have to do, or a specific hole where they're having a car or something where insurance requires that you have a specific distance.
Now that I find out closer to the event, but I do interact and discuss with the outings, like, how many people are you expecting? Are you a new outing? Because I know those guys always say we're gonna have 144 and they show up with 80. So if it's a first year event, I always put 80, possibly 144. And then as it comes closer, I follow up with them.
All I need for planning is I can show it to you, right, because I take the schedules, I go up there and I try to get 3 months ahead of time of schedules. I take the schedules, I scan them into my computer, and then I start filling in the operations. Our spray days are Tuesdays and Thursdays, because it's too difficult to try to spray and cut at the same time. It just takes too much time, and we get caught, and you don't want to get caught with spraying. There's legality in that issue. Technically speaking, people should not be playing on a surface that's been sprayed until the material dries on the leaf blade. So we look at Tuesdays and Thursdays to do those types of events, because I can get out that much earlier. But when I get those schedules, then I sit down and look to fit in, okay, this is where we're gonna, this is where I wanna fit this in. Because within the next month and a half, I'll have my fertility program and my pesticide program for January 25 through December 25 done. I'll know exactly what it is, the dates, or the date windows that I want to do it in, the materials I'm going to use, the quantity of materials, and so on. That'll all be done, between the mid-October to mid-November. So then I start plugging this stuff into a calendar, and then I superimpose that calendar with the golf calendar and see what we have to change, or see what has to be moved around. But it helps to have the calendar early and have specific things set in stone. I
I'll
know.
print tomorrow what we got for next June. Obviously, there'll be some modifications.
There's always going to be
but
change.
It's already up,
If
it's
some guy
available.
cancels, somebody doesn't have enough people, or so on. So if we know far enough ahead of time, we can schedule those things.
I think we beat that up.
Beat that horse pretty good, right? Yeah.
And I think our next meeting is really gonna be the October 8th NGF report.
And we're here, right?
Yep.
If I could point out one thing that I did put in, one of the Selectman Gasper came by and was looking at the operation, and he mentioned concern or interest in updating the restrooms on their appearances. So I have someone preparing an estimate for those projects, and when I get that, I will present it to you guys, and then we can discuss what we want to do with it. Because I did inquire and say, do we really want to do that at this point in time? And he was, so, we'll see what the numbers are. You know what I mean? If it's not much money, maybe you want to do it. If it's too much money,
Right, I
Pass.
can't Can't hurt to get the quote, and
Right.
just see what's there.
That was my mindset.
Mr. Chairman, what do we do about outings?
About what?
Outings. We kick things back and forth. I don't see us getting anywhere.
I think before we make a decision like that, you gotta see how many are on paper, and then go from there. I mean, off the top of my head right now, and I brought this up last time about outings, you know, we pushed and pushed and pushed to, when we were in a situation where we needed outings, and everyone says, well, we gotta get more outings, we gotta get more outings. Now it's come to a point where it has exploded, which I agree. Is there too many? Probably. What do you do with them? You can't tell them to go home because they've been faithful to you right along. I would just say you just cut, limit. Right now, that's the end of it. Anyone that drops out, if we want to take them, we will. If not, we just let it go. The problem is that when you have days that it's not nice out,
Right.
you lose revenue. Okay, you lose revenue. I don't mean days that you're soaking wet that they wreck the course, but something like this, it's drizzling, you lose it. How many players do you think that we could fill 144 players at 1 o'clock on a Saturday from off the street?
No, never.
Can we? Probably not.
Not in with an overcast
Yeah,
forecast.
but 1 o'clock on a Saturday, you're, what about the entire rest of the day where you could have booked tee times, and your tee time people are probably paying more than your outing people, if I'm not mistaken, so you're making more money.
That'll be a bone of contention when we discuss
Yeah, but
rates, because
it's-
my objective is to go up on our outing rates.
Well,
higher than what
here's
they
the
are
problem
now.
with that, is that's not etched in stone.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're making more money on the walk-on, yeah, but how many of those walk-ons are you gonna get if you get rid of 144 that pay?
Well, hey, you
It's a
know,
compromise. You got to balance.
Well.
well, look at what you need to do. You need to take the year at a total, and you know, you could take all the schedules from this past year, from April, May through October. You know, just like you did that report.
Right.
Take those, and look at the outings, and look at how they're juxtaposed through the system. Understanding that obviously people like to play golf in warm weather, and you literally...
Not too warm.
Yeah, not too warm. You literally beat the snot out of your golf course in June and August, and this year also in September, because, you know, the weather was warm. And you look at it, you know, and it's taking a toll. You, on the front side of your golf course, you have minimal rough at best, minimal. I mean, you have fairways that are so friggin', I mean, look at the 9th hole. You got 5 feet of rough on one side, 5 feet of rough on the other side, then there's the woods. And you just can't, you know, and you just can't take the cart path beating again and again and again and again and again. It's just going to wear out. And so you have to take those things, you have to take each individual thing into consideration.
Well, yeah.
October 29th, I think it's October 29th, first public golf forum in the state of Massachusetts is being held up at South Shore. So I think it's South Shore Country Club. I would advise, you know, I can't remember what the registration is. I'm going to sign up and go. I would advise anybody who's interested in the future and where public golf is going to go sit and to this function and listen and find out some information. You know, to be you know, if anything, to be better informed. But these things can all work together if we sit down and take the proper planning
I
approach.
agree. I
We can
totally agree.
have, we can have as many
I agree.
outings,
I agree.
you know, and we just need to have the foresight to be ahead as opposed to trying, you know, and maybe it doesn't happen this coming year because we're behind the 8 ball already.
I was just gonna say
But
that.
maybe we can plan for 2006, so you know, so you're ready by
That's
that
exactly what I
time.
was gonna say, we've already committed to things for next year, but we need to start planning that if we wanna scale back a little bit, what are the smallest ones, the most recent ones? So you can already tell them leading up to next year, hey, by the way,
So we have to plan 24 months in advance.
Can't come back in
How many outings do we have?
I just told John, I don't have that off the top of my head. We were booked every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday of this month. Sure.
Top 25
Sure.
outings that we want to keep.
I think we need to have from you a schedule, I mean,
I need to see it.
some kind that you have all these months did and all the outings in days and times, in numbers, and then make a few of them.
Sure.
And bring it in, and we're gonna have to dish it out and make a decision.
So the next meeting, I'll bring in,
Yeah, right. I can say, I've seen that schedule. It is,
it's packed.
it's full pack.
This is October and this is September,
Just go in the clubhouse and ask for it.
I'm not gonna lie, we're stuffed, but like we discussed with Manny, we did do some modifications to give the Wednesday, Friday cut days availability, and we shifted all those people on Fridays onto Thursdays. So I mean, we tried to help, it's just, we're busy.
I'm surprised you don't know how many outings we have.
Off the top of my head,
Yeah,
Ed, you get the reports, how many do we have?
I don't get them, I didn't count.
6, 7,
That's what,
8,
that's
9,
what I rely on you.
Oh, but this is
10, 11, 12,
off the top of my head.
14, 15.
With all the outings that
It's
was.
16 outings in
And
September.
that's
16 outings in September, one canceled on the 22nd.
Because of the rain.
No, they canceled earlier in the year. They tried to come back on the 22nd. They couldn't get the people, so they didn't fulfill it.
Again, so I'll create some sheets, bring them in, we can talk about it in detail.
That's about 4 a week.
Well, you can see it right here.
4 a week in September.
Monday.
At least.
Monday. Thursday. Saturday. Sunday. And one Sunday they canceled. So you're slamming all weekend, and you're slamming 2 days during the week. And that, just because there are outings there, doesn't say that you're not getting people coming in the afternoon after them. Like on Thursday afternoons when a particular group, which should go unnamed, comes in, and we usually end up with 2 or 3 green scars and some other things damaged in carts with sticks hanging out from underneath them and so on. So, yeah, it's busy. We're going to continue to be busy, but if we organize it, we can be busy with, revenue and agronomics, considered.
So, we just beat it again, so.
Well, I mean, you could, you look at, you've got,
As we've said, we need to look at it, we need a balance, it's going to take 24 months, as we just said, so I think that's what we're gonna do. Dana's gonna print out so we all have it, so we can get a feel of what the past year was, and then over the next year, if we have to kind of force some to drop off, and for the best thing for us, that's what we have to do.
I think we ought to get like the top 25.
Well, it'd be good to have.
We're gonna get them all, and then we'll review it.
Exactly, just indicate what
We
is the
should have them
biggest.
all, and then we decide what's on offer.
That's what he just said.
Right, that way we see all of it in front of us. All right. Motion to adjourn, John?
A what?
I think you just made a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I did. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.